Okay, and I'll speak to that from what has been researched and as well documented for St. Croix and part of the Virgin Islands. And I say part of the Virgin Islands because, again, this is a history that is still being documented, at least in paper. There's been a number of oral traditions around what Bamboula connections are to the tea meeting. So I'm going to use what was shared with me by some of the greats, like the honorable ancestress Leona Brady Watson, who was a cultural icon, literally a cultural laureate of St. Croix and the entire Virgin Islands, who did a restorative work around the music, the lyrics, the syncopation for the drummers, the dance steps of the Bamboula and other traditions of Kaiso or Kariatso in terms of musical traditions. We also had Jean Assanison, who was teaching the Bamboula dance and the songs in St. Thomas more prevalently. You had the ancestors before them. You had Auntie Clara, you had Mama Matthias, you had many others that I was very fortunate to have my beloved husband, Nisu Nepkara Herisheta Paharu, who is a Christopher and a Donovan by family line, and many of his great grandparents, as well as great grandparents, and his parents are familiar with some of the rhythms that were connected to how Bamboula was used for the tea meetings as an introduction of that era of resistance. So if the master chairman is to say, well, where are those rabble rousers? Where are those persons that want to start up trouble and so forth here? Where are those revolutionaries? They would pull in that Bamboula tradition. So in tea meetings that have been hosted around Virgin Islands emancipation, July 3rd, 1848, the history has shown that what took place on July 2nd in 1848 had been a planned, organized gathering, a community gathering of those enslaved Africans that demanded their freedom, that demanded the quest of liberation and upliftment. And they made a pact with one another as they were preparing and planning for their uprising and to demand their freedom. And part of that was a Bamboula. So they gathered around a fire. They engaged in making a pact by word and by passing that peace. Many people take this incorrectly, but it wasn't like they gushed blood on their shoulder, but it was just a mark to just show that they were willing to give life for life, because it was important for them to demand or actually declare their freedom. And so there was this gathering around the fire with the words and the songs of power and getting them to have the resilience and the desire and the strength and the unity and the harmony to be able to decree their freedom, no matter what the turnout was. And so they did the dance, they shared the songs, they made a pact, a secure pact amongst them. And that's where original time where we would say, let the circle be unbroken. Because that's something that comes out of the African tradition, that we would use fire, we would pour libations, we would sing songs, we would have words of power, words of strength, words of engagement. And that's what was done with this Bamboula. And it was captured so that before they were having these tea meetings in a reenactment type of setting, they were showing this is what happened the day before there was this uprising that led to the emancipation of enslaved Africans in St. Croix, St. Thomas, St. John, throughout what was then the Danish West Indies, which is now the Virgin Islands of the United States. And there's more to that. So, we would need to look at Growing Up in St. Croix, a publication by a great woman, another educational icon, Queen Mother Eulalie Rivera. She lived to be over 100, and she wrote a book that included that experience of using tea meetings, sharing the bread and cheese, sharing the bush tea. And, you say break bread, and converse. That's what a Bamboula was about: communication. It was about exchange. It was about preparing people, using that team meeting tradition for them to really deal with their freeness, their freedom.